Hello everyone, welcome to PRP Coding YouTube channel. I am Raveendran Pillai. In this session, I shall explain about primary constructors in dotnet 8. So let's start. I have created a dotnet 8 console application and an ASP.NET Core Web API project, and it is opened in my VS Code editor. If I expand the console application, here you can see that I have created a class named language. In the language class, it contains two overloaded constructors. In the first constructor, it is taking a string parameter name and it is assigned to the private read-only variable underscore name. In the second constructor, it is taking two parameters, string name and string honor, and it is assigned to the read-only variables underscore name and underscore honor. Then it contains a toString method, which is basically I have overridden the toString method, and it is returning the honor of a particular language. Now let me open the program.cs file here, and here you can see that I have created two objects of language class, first language and second language. In the first language, I have created this object by passing the name as C# and honor as Microsoft. Similarly, the second language is created by passing the name as ABCD. Both the language, first language and second language, are printed in the console window. Now let me run this application and test this. So right click on this project, open an integrated terminal, and let me run the command .NET run. And here you can see the output as Microsoft is the owner of C# language and unknown is the owner of ABCD language. Why? Because in ABCD, I have passed only the name. So if you look at the language and if we see the toString overridden method, here I have used if the honor is null, then take unknown. That's the reason why we are seeing it as unknown. So everything is working as expected. So if you look at this language class, here you can see that I have created two private fields underscore name and underscore honor. And in the constructor, I have assigned the values that are passed to this constructor parameters to underscore name and underscore honor. And then I have used these private fields inside this toString overridden method. Now, it would have been great if the constructor parameters were accessible within the class scope. Now this can be achieved by using the newly introduced feature called Primary Constructors in dotnet 8. So what is a primary constructor? Primary constructor is a concise syntax to declare constructors whose parameters are available anywhere in the body of the type. So let me create a new class here and name it as new language, okay? And in order to use the new syntax for primary constructors, what you have to do is just pass it like this: string name and string honor. Okay, and let me go to the language.cs and copy this code, see, and put it here. And instead of underscore, I can give it as. See, now you can see that I'm able to access this name and honor within the class scope. Now let me create an object of this new language. Okay, for that, let me go to the program.cs and first let me go and comment this lines of code and let me copy this. And instead of language, I will use new language. Okay, and let me run the application. Integrated terminal. And here you can see the output remains the same. It is Microsoft is the owner of C# language. In the language.cs class, we have two overloaded constructors. The constructor with two parameters, string name and string honor, is already implemented in the new language class by using the primary constructor approach. Now, let me add a constructor with a single parameter, just like we have added it in language class. So I can write public new language string name. Okay, so immediately we got an error. So let's see what is that error. A constructor declared in a type with parameter list must have this constructor initializer. So what does that mean? It means that this class is having a primary constructor. So please invoke the primary constructor by using the this keyword. So here I have to explicitly type this and call the primary constructor. So I can pass it name here and let me pass the null as the owner, and the error is gone. So if we try to perform constructor overloading in a class with primary constructor, then it is mandatory to invoke the primary constructor by using this keyword. Now let me open the program.cs file and paste the code here. And instead of language, I will make it as new language. And here I'm passing the name as ABCD. Okay. So now let me run the project, open an integrated terminal, and I can say .NET 1. And here you can see that the output is Microsoft is the owner of C# language. Okay, that is this one. And unknown is the owner of ABCD language. So here we have passed the name as ABCD and the owner is unknown. So everything is working as expected with respect to primary constructor approach as well. One of the drawback with respect to primary constructor is that the primary constructor parameters are mutable. So here I can go and modify it as name is equal to, let me make it as TypeScript, and we'll give owner as Microsoft. Okay. Okay. So now if I go and run my application here you can see Microsoft is the owner of TypeScript language. Microsoft is the owner of TypeScript language. It has printed twice. The idea that came to my mind is that since the primary constructor has parameters similar to regular constructors, it would be a good idea to add the ability to set the parameters as read-only. It would have been great like if something like this was possible, read-only string name, and here also I can give it as read-only string owner, so that once it is initialized, we cannot go and modify the values. And parameters are usually used for reading data, and they are rarely changed. So it would be beneficial to introduce optional protection against accidental parameter overwriting. Many developers have shared this feedback with Microsoft, and I hope the .NET team will definitely look into this. Okay, so now let's see how primary constructors can be used with inheritance. For that, I have created an ASP.NET Core Web API project. This project is using Entity Framework Core for storing and retrieving data using an in-memory database. Let me expand the API project. Here you can see that in the context folder, I have created a class language context which is inheriting the DB context class. The language context constructor is taking DB context options as parameter, and I have created a DB set languages of type language. This language is coming from the models folder. Here I have created a class language with properties ID, name, and honor. In the services folder, it contains a language service class. And here you can see that I have injected the language context in the constructor. Then it contains two methods, get languages async and create async. Get languages async method will go and return all the languages from the in-memory database, and the create async method will go and add a language to the in-memory database. Now let me open the program.cs file. Here you can see that I have created two minimal API endpoints, mapGet and mapPost. In both the endpoints, I have injected the language service. In the mapGet, I have used the language service.getLanguages async method, and in the mapPost, I'm using the language service.create async method. Both the language context and the language service are added to the services collection. Okay, so now let's go and implement the primary constructor in the language context and the language service class. So let me switch to the language context here. And here you can see that the language context is inheriting the DB context class. And in the constructor, it is taking a parameter DB context options, and this options is passed to the base. So here the base is the DB context. Now, let me comment this constructor code here and implement the primary constructor. So let me copy this and paste it over here. So here we have the DB context options, language context options, and here we have passed this option to the base. Now how we will pass this options to the base class? So here the base class is the DB context. So here I can pass it like this, say options. That's it. Now let me remove this code. So we have implemented the primary constructor approach in the language context. Now let's see how this can be achieved in the language service class. So let me copy this constructor parameter and paste it here. And let me remove all this code. And here, let me make this as underscore language context. That's it. So we have implemented the primary constructor in the language service. Now let me run this application and test these endpoints via Postman. Now let me switch to the Postman. Here you can see that I have created a Postman collection named primary constructor with two requests, get all languages and add language. So let me click on this add language. It's loading. And here you can see that this is a post method with HTTP localhost 5000/API/languages. And if I click on the body, I have added a request body with name C# and honor is Microsoft. So let me click on the send button. And here you can see the response as ID is a good ID with name C#, honor is Microsoft. Now let me add one more record. So let me give the name as Dart and give the honor as Google. And let me click on the send button. Yes, and here you can see ID is a new GUID with name Dart and honor is Google. Now let me switch on to the get all languages endpoint and let me click on the send button. And here you can see that we got the name C# honor Microsoft as well as a name Dart honor Google. So everything is working as expected. So this is all about primary constructors in .NET 8. If you find this video helpful, then please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel and stay tuned for the next updates. Thank you.